You know that feeling at the end of a long month where you worked your tail off and you've got nothing to show for it? The jobs get done, right? Customers got served, and somehow the bank account still looks like it did 30 days ago. That is not a work ethic problem. That is a profit problem. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why your contracting business feels busy but isn't profitable and what to do about it. Real quick, before we dive in, I've worked with hundreds of contractors across this country, and the ones who are actually winning all have one thing in common. They know their numbers. So I built a free KPI tracker specifically for contractors. 5 numbers that tell you exactly what's happening inside your business, tracked in a simple Google Sheet that takes 15 minutes to fill out every single week. That's it. It's completely free, and the link is in the description below. Go grab it. Now, let's talk about why your contracting business is keeping you busy but not making you wealthy. Let me start with the number one reason most contractors have no idea where their money is going. Most contractors know their gross margin numbers. That's what's left after you subtract your direct job cost from your revenue. Materials, subcontractors, wages, paid on the job. That is the number being tracked. It feels good, and most contractors stop right there. Here's the problem with that. Gross margin is not profit, not even close. Think about it this way. You do a job, you bring in $100,000. Your direct costs were $65,000. So you've got $35,000 left over. That's a 35% gross margin, and it feels great. But now you've got to pay your office manager and your insurance, your truck payments, fuel, and shop rent, your software, your phone, and your taxes. All of that comes out of that $35,000. And a lot of contractors get to the end of the math and realize they've got almost nothing left. Net profit is what you actually keep after every single expense in your business has been paid. That's the number that matters. That's the number that tells you the truth about whether your business is actually working. And most owners never track it weekly, monthly, or sometimes even annually with any real accuracy. You can have a 35% gross margin and a 2% net profit, and that's not a win, right? That's a warning. So where does all the money go between gross margin and net profit? Let me show you the hidden costs that most contractors either don't know about or don't want to face. The first one is labor expenses, right? And this is huge. Most contractors calculate their labor cost as the hourly rate wage that they pay their employee, right? Let's say that's $25 an hour. But that's not what that actual employee actually cost, right? When you add in payroll taxes, workman's comp, then layer in health insurance and paid time off, that $25 an hour employee is actually costing you somewhere between $35 and $40 an hour. That gap right there is silently eating your margin on every single job. The second hidden killer is callbacks. Every time that you send a crew back to fix something that wasn't done right the first time, then you're paying full labor costs to do work you already got paid for. You're not making money on that trip, you're losing it. And most contractors don't track callbacks as a line item, so they have no idea how much it's actually costing them every single month. The third one is fuel waste. This one sounds small, but it adds up real fast. Inefficient routing, right? Crews making unnecessary trips, trucks that are sitting idling, just running to the supply house twice when they should have just been there once in the entire week, right? I've seen companies lose $3,000 to $5,000 a month in fuel waste alone just from poor scheduling and routing. And that brings me to the fourth hidden cost, which is inefficient scheduling. When your crews aren't optimized, when there are gaps between jobs, when travel time is excessive, you are paying people to do nothing. That time isn't free. You're paying for it, and you're getting zero revenue in return. None of these things show up clearly on a basic income statement, but they are all bleeding your business every single day. Now, here's a concept that will change how you look at your job board forever. Not all revenue is created equal. Good revenue comes from high margin jobs that fit your crew's skill set, that are priced correctly, that go smoothly, right? And that you can replicate guys over and over again. These are the jobs where your team knows exactly what they're doing, the scope is clear for them, the customer is reasonable, and you walk away with some real money in your pocket. Bad revenue is the opposite of that, right? It's the low margin job that you took because you needed to keep the crew busy. It's the customer who calls every single day, changes the scope on you, and expects you to eat all those extras. It's the job type you're not really set up for. So everything takes twice as long and costs twice as much for you to do. You invoice the same amount, but by the time it's done, you've lost money or you've broken even at best. Here's the trap that most contractors fall into. They look at a job and they see 50,000 in revenue, and then they say, yes, but they never ask what the actual margin is going to be after everything is accounted for on that job. Want to know the fastest way to grow your profitability without adding a single new job? Start saying no to bad revenue. Protect your capacity for the work that actually pays you well. I know that sounds scary when you're trying to keep your crews working, right? But a crew doing a bad revenue job is a crew that can't do a good revenue job. You are trading margin for the illusion of being busy. Let me put some numbers in front of you real quick, because the home service industry data tells a story most contractors never want to sit with. According to industry benchmarks, the average net profit margin for a home service business runs between 2 and 10%. That means the average contractor is keeping somewhere between 2 and 10 cents on every dollar that comes through the door. The top performers in the industry, the ones that are running tight operations with smart pricing, are hitting net margins between 15 and 20%. That gap between the average and the top, it's not talent. That gap is process. Now, let's talk about where the money actually goes in home service businesses. Direct costs, which is like your labor, right? Materials and any subs that you use. Typically, they're going to consume 50 to 60% of every dollar that you bring in. That leaves you with a gross margin somewhere between 40 and 50% before overhead ever touches it. Here's where it gets painful. Overhead in the home service business typically runs between 30 and 40% of revenue when you account for everything honestly, right? Like vehicle cost, insurance, office staff, fuel, software, and marketing. They all live in that bucket. When you do that math, 40% gross margin minus 35% overhead leaves you with just 5% net profit. And most home service contractors are sitting right there, doing everything right on the surface, but barely keeping anything at the end of the month for themselves. These are not bad businesses. They are businesses with broken pricing and untracked overhead, and that is a fixable problem. The difference between a 5% net margin and a 15% net margin on $1 million in revenue is $100,000 in your pocket. And if you're sitting in one of those industries right now, there's a very good chance you're leaving serious money on the table. So let me give you something practical you can take action on this week for your business. If you're not tracking anything right now, start here. These are the 3 numbers that will tell you everything about the health of your business. The first number is your net profit margin by job, not just total revenue, not just gross margin, net profit on each and every individual job that you do. This tells you which jobs are actually making you money and which ones are quietly bleeding you out every single month. Once you know this, your bidding decisions get smarter overnight. The second number is your fully loaded labor cost versus your billed labor rate, right? Every week, you need to know whether you are billing more per hour than you are actually paying per hour. If that gap is shrinking, something is wrong. Either your costs are going up or your pricing is slipping. Either way, you need to know it before it becomes a crisis in your business. The third number is your overhead coverage ratio. Take your total monthly overhead and divide it by the number of billable hours your crew works in a single month. That's how much overhead you need to cover your per hour of work just to break even. Every single job that you bid needs to cover that number, plus your direct cost, plus your profit margin, right? If you're not building that overhead recovery into your bids, Every job you do is subsidized by the next one, and eventually there is no next one. Start tracking those three numbers every single week. Put them on a whiteboard in your office if you have to. They will tell you more about your business than any other metric that you could track. Here's where I want to leave you today. Your business doesn't have a hustle problem. You've already proven you can work hard. What it has is a clarity problem. You've been flying without the instruments that tell you whether you're actually winning or you're just staying in the air. Gross margin is not profit, okay? Hidden costs are real and they are adding up every single month, whether you know it or not. Bad revenue is worse than no revenue, right? And chasing volume to cover it all up, some broken model that you build, is a race that you'll never win. So fix the numbers. Price the work correctly. Know what your people actually cost you and track these three numbers every single week without exception. And if you want a tool that makes this dead simple, I built a free KPI tracker for trade contractors. 5 numbers that will tell you the truth about your business every single week. No guessing, no gut feeling, just clarity. Go to the link in the description, open it in the Google Sheet, make a copy, and it's all yours. The numbers will start to talk to you. I promise you that, right? You've already proven you can grind. Now let's go make sure the grind actually pays you well. Let's go build something that lasts.